I must look after that family, mused the doctor. Bless the young things. A frolicsome kitten and a little earnest child, full of faith and love of humankind, can be wonderful factors in the matter of happiness. Strange how I have gone along missing both and not knowing what I missed. Let me see. I'll send Hooper to look after grandfather's bronicles. He smiled broadly at the remembrance of the garbled world. I'd rather not have the little one know that I've a hand in it, and 'twill be good for Hooper to try his hand at that sort of thing. Let me see if that youngster's letter reached its proper destination. He stopped and pulled out the packet he carried. Yes, there it was, signed Bill. The doctor stood and read the poor, smudgy, misspelled little missive over, put it back in his pocket, and walked thoughtfully on, not knowing that at that very moment he was passing the writer, who, with his meagre supply of wan-looking violets, was offering them for sale. Bill as little knew that the letter over which he had spent much thought and hard labour was resting in the doctor's pocket, for he imagined it to be in the hands of a red-nosed, white-haired individual, with a jolly countenance and a twinkling eye, such a one as could be seen, more or less realistically, represented in shop windows. A very different-looking person, indeed, from this portly, prosperous-appearing man with the keen eyes, who wore swagger clothes and didn't care nothing for poor cusses, or he'd have brought something from a feller. Bill's ire was roused by this kind of person, so indifferent and absent-minded as never even to glance at the violets, nor give a regretful negative, as some nice ladies did. "Talk about old Santa Claus," muttered Bill. "If he is anybody at all, he ain't friends to nobody but rich folks. That's what I say. I ain't never heard from him, and I guess I ain't never going to, what's more." But, as if to chide his lack of faith, Eleanor herself appeared like a reproving angel at his side. "Bill," she said, standing on tiptoe that she might see the box cover in which the violets lay, "Bill, have you sold lots to-day?" "No, I ain't," he answered rather crossly. "Oh, then I can spend all these 5 centses. The doctor picked them all out of his pocket for me, and told me to buy violets for mamma. So I have to. 10 5-centses, see? I told mamma I would come right back. She's watching out of the window for me." Bill's face took on a little sunshine. 10 bunches! Why, it would nearly clean out his stock. What luck! "Say," he said in a low voice, "'bout that Santa Claus, you know. Time's getting close." "Yes," said Eleanor, eagerly holding out her hands to receive the violets. "I don't believe he comes to poor folks," continued Bill. "Mind, I don't say there ain't no Santa Claus, but I say he ain't no friend of folks what lives in Hitchin's Court." "Oh, but he is. Dr. Brewster says so, and he knows everything. He does, truly. And he told me to tell you that there was a Santa Claus, really, really." Bill stared at the ground. "And he said, if you put your letter in the box, Santa Claus will surely get it there, and you will get an answer. So now," and she walked off with a little switch of her skirts, and a decided sort of air, as she would say there was no further doubt possible. Bill looked after her. 10 bunches of violets meant a corresponding amount of faith, and an hour later an empty box lid went home with him. But the very fact of the emptiness of the box cover meant a fullness of belief. And Gertie, poor little rickety Gertie, also received a prop to her faltering hopes in Bill's words. "They are Sandy Claus, Gert, sure as shooting. A big bug what I knows about says so. Ain't you glad?" "Are you going to believe in him?" asked Gertie, in an excited whisper. "Yes, I am," sturdily returned Bill. "So am I, then. I'm going to believe he'll bring me a doll, and a orange, and a new frock, and a picture book, and candy, and—" her whisper rose shrilly as she became more ambitious, "and a turkey." The climax was reached. "Sho!" said Bill, doubtfully. "I don't believe he'll do all that." "What's the use of believing at all if you don't believe he can do every bit?" returned Gertie, who did not regard half-measures with favour. "I'm going to believe I'll get it all, and more," she added, with an extra touch of defiance of fate. Bill looked at her half admiringly. Such temerity was beyond his mental stature, although given a proper field for physical valour, and he'd show no white feather, as various urchins in the neighbourhood could testify. "How long is it before Christmas?" asked Gertie. 3 days, ain't it?" "'Bout that. Say, Gert, we ain't asked for nothing for Grandpop in that letter." "Why, yes, we did. We asked for a doctor to cure his bronicles, don't you know?" "So we did. How is he?" "I don't know. He's kind of yellow yet, and he can't eat much." A sharp rap at the door interrupted them, and a smiling young man entered to their "Come in." "Is this Bill?" he asked. The boy nodded. "Your grandfather, he's ill?" "Mm-hmm," returned Bill, looking suspiciously at the visitor's careful attire. "Ah, yes." The young man put up an eyeglass and peered around the dingy rooms, Bill meantime eyeing him, as much as to say, "What business is it of yours how we look?" "Could I see him?" queried the young man. "I dunno. See here, what d'you want? I'll pay your rent. You needn't go badgering Grandpop about it." The young man stared. "Bless me, my son, I don't want any rent. He smiled and whimsically took out his card case. "Pardon me for not properly introducing myself. I am Dr. Hooper, and I have been asked to call professionally on your grandfather by a friend of his." "Whew!" Bill gave voice to a low whistle and glanced at Gertie, who had taken the card with a funny little air of polite acceptance, and, at a word from her brother, led the way into a hole of a room, hardly more than a closet, where an old man lay. The doctor remained about 15 or 20 minutes, and when he again came into the presence of the boy and his sister, he said, "I think your grandfather will be better under my immediate care, and I will see that he is removed, if you don't object, to a pleasant room in a pleasant place." "An hospital?" queried Gertie. The young man nodded. "Say, look here, he ain't going to no hospital," objected Bill. "He is too," retorted Gertie. Then, turning to the doctor, "You can take him." She gave the permission grandly. "I know all about it, and Bill don't. I've seen one." "My son," said the doctor, addressing Bill, "your sister is a person of unusual acumen. She knows a good thing when she sees it. I give you my word that the friend of whom I spoke thoroughly approves of your grandfather's removal." "And can't we see him?" asked Bill, looking very dubious. "Bless you, yes, every day if you want to." "And will you bring him back for Christmas?" asked Bill again. The doctor considered. "If it is possible, at least I can promise you shall eat your Christmas dinner together." The two children exchanged glances. The answer implied that there was to be a Christmas dinner. "I will come tomorrow morning in my carriage for him," added the doctor. "That is, if I may." "You hear that, Gert? A carriage! Ain't we swagger?" And Bill laughed. He followed the young doctor to the door, and shut it after him as he went outside. Plucking him by the sleeve, he asked in a low tone, "Mr. Doctor, that there friend what sent you, say, honest now, tell a feller square, was it old Sandy Claus?" The doctor hesitated, looked down at the earnest, ugly little face, lighted up by a strong hope, its dirt and unhealthy colour but dimly descried in the flaring light of the dingy court, and he felt a new concern for this gutter-snipe with whom he had suddenly come in contact. He laughed softly and said, "Yes, you're about right. Call him Santa Claus." Bill went in and shut the door very solemnly. Things were happening mysteriously, and he felt somewhat awed at what his experiences implied.
Look out for part 4 on Wednesday. See you then. Bye.